Japanese filmmaker Hayao Miyazaki enters what's more or less his retirement phase with The Wind Rises, a beautifully designed, if somewhat emotionally muted, animated biopic. Miyazaki's cut his teeth on some of the best children's films of the past 20 years or so, including animal fables like My Neighbor Totoro and Spirited Away. And while those films are also, I think, firmly rooted in reality to some extent, The Wind Rises is a bit of a departure, more or less a historical epic in the Forrest Gump vein. It tells the story of young Jiro, who sets his heart on designing beautiful airplanes once he figures out that his eyesight is not good enough for him to be a fighter pilot himself. And the film follows him through his basic coming-of-age phase, as he goes through the process of becoming an engineer, and as he lives through some of the major historical events of this period. From the Great Depression, for example, to the tuberculosis epidemic that ends up affecting his wife. As in a number of Miyazaki's films, I think there's a really wonderful tenderness here to the way that he captures certain details of Jiro's life. Everything from sort of his fine-grained, beautiful conceptual drawings to his compulsive smoking. One particular sequence following the devastation of an earthquake is as precisely drawn, I think, as any sort of historical epic depicting a catastrophe. What's much less precise, though, I think, is the politics of this film. Miyazaki is pretty well celebrated for his environmental allegories, but here I think his politics are rather mushy. We mostly get some vague anti-war sentiment mixed with a general sort of cautious enthusiasm about Jiro's work, and the artistry of it in particular, even though he's ultimately not making art so much as he's making warplanes. The Wind Rises is a beautiful film, then, and it's a fitting farewell if it turns out to be a farewell, but it never quite figures out what it wants to say about what it means to make beautiful things if those beautiful things are going to be put to violent ends. This is Angelo Moretta for Real Time